Hello again and welcome back to the Too Deep Coverage Podcast. Today is the last video going over all the teams and divisions before the 2025 NFL Draft. The offseason has been long and grueling already, but tomorrow is the start of it all. For now, we'll be going over feuds, storylines, and next season predictions for the rest of the league we haven't covered. We've already gone over a bunch of teams and divisions, so go ahead and check those out right here on the channel after this video. Be sure to let me know what you think will happen next season in the comments below, and let's get right into it. But first, I have to talk to you about my friends and partners over at W Energy. Since 2021, they've been making the safest, cleanest, best-tasting, crash-free energy drink on the market. This American-made, clean formula energy drink is made to give you a long boost of energy and concentration with no crash or slump afterwards. All flavors are unique and made by W, so you'll never find our taste anywhere else. With multiple limited time and hydrating flavors, you'll always find your next favorite with us. With all drinks having no sugar, no fillers or artificial colors and dyes, no secret or hidden ingredients, and of course being gluten-free, W is the best drink to hit the market in years. With every drink averaging out to be just $1 each, your pocket and body will thank you for making the switch to W Energy. Whether you want to switch it up daily or stay committed with your favorite flavor, W has all the products you need from packs, tubs, and even cans. Be sure to use the link in the description to get your starter sampler pack or whatever amazing product you choose with an extra 10% off using my code Twizzler. It's like the candy, but with the two Whizzler. Add some energy and focus back into your life today with W Energy. Alright guys, so let's finish up where we left off yesterday in this super episode, the Wednesday before the draft. We have the AFC South to go over, and then we have the East, both sides. So let's go over the AFC South. We'll do it quick. Pretty underwhelming division. So let's just get right into it. We have the Titans finishing last in their division last year, so they have the number one pick. Okay, that's probably the most important thing. We know they're going to go Cam Ward. He's shown that he is a good prospect, that he plays well, he plays hard, plays good against good schools. He's moved around a lot, and he's been able to perform at each higher level he's stepped up to, so we'll see what happens with him. I don't think there's as many doubts about his ability, but the doubts that I have is about the coach. What kind of coaching are they going to have? I know they say Brian Callahan is pretty good at mentoring quarterbacks, bringing them up, making them better. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this quarterback and this coach will mesh, or that the play calls will work together. There's a lot of different aspects that can go into this number one pick that I don't think a lot of teams have gone over. But I think now that they're pretty sure that they're going to bring Cam Ward in, and they know what kind of quarterback they're going to be expecting on their team going into 2025, what kind of receivers are you going to get? You guys lost D-Hop last year. Could have used him for sure now. So, I mean, notably missing D-Hop and really only having like one good receiver, you'd really got to think, okay, the Titans have to put in some work in the second and third, maybe even the fourth round to try and bring in some more talent. Definitely got to bolster the line too. I mean, just on every team. I think that's the definition of success lately in the NFL. But really, Cam Ward's got a lot to prove, just because there's going to be so many comparisons. I mean, comparing him to C.J. Stroud a couple of years ago, how he came in, now he's a returning playoff quarterback, and then Jaden Daniels. I mean, even just the second pick, not even the first pick, making it to the NFC Championship. It's a lot of weight on your shoulders right away, starting out. Plus, being in the AFC. If you really want to be a playoff quarterback, if you want to be, a top-of-the-line quarterback in the AFC, you have to beat, the top quarterbacks in the league. I would say 4 or 5 out of the top 5 are in the AFC. So let's say the Titans somehow scrape away, a 7th seed one of these years. Well, okay, you're playing, who are you going to play first? You playing number 2? Is that going to be Buffalo, Baltimore, or Kansas City? Okay, and then let's say you beat them and then you go to play 1. Okay, well, whoever you didn't just play, you probably are going to play now. So no matter what, I mean, unless you're winning the division, which I don't see them winning the division against the Texans anytime soon. Sorry to say, but I don't think the Titans have very good to fare, whether they get Cam Ward or not. You're in the worst division. You're the worst team in the worst division in the hardest conference. So that just puts you, I mean, that is why they're picking first, is because they genuinely had the 32nd amount of skill in a 32-team league. Pardon this video interruption. We have some breaking news. Come and join the new Twizzler Discord, a place to hang out with friends, make new ones, and find a like-minded community. Find new people to game, chat, or even debate with. We have everything you want and need from Minecraft, Call of Duty, Fortnite, GTA, and our special areas to watch and talk sports. Be sure to join today and stay up to date with the community and all the content we have. Follow the Linktree link in the description, and we'll see you soon. Back to the video. But let's move on to the Jags now. First point I want to make here is Trevor Lawrence. Okay, we're getting to that point where Trevor Lawrence was in a discussion with Herbert, Mahomes, Jackson, and Joe Burrow. The young guys coming up to be the next big thing. All these other guys prove themselves. Joe Burrow's went to a Super Bowl. You know, Lamar Jackson's won MVPs. Mahomes is Mahomes. And then you have Trevor Lawrence. I mean, even Justin Herbert's been to the playoffs countless times, but Trevor Lawrence was a number one pick as well. A consensus number one pick out of Clemson. So the fact that he's been, drafting in the top 5 in his career at all is a shame. You got to think like, okay, what if the Bengals drafted top 5 as much as the Jaguars do? Would they consider Joe Burrow a successful quarterback? I mean, I don't think so. I really don't. He has to live up to his number one pick potential, or else he might not be on a team. That you see these teams making huge contracts and just eating them all because they'd rather not have the guy than they would not have the contract anymore. So, now that he's getting injured, now that he's not on the field, and when he is on the field, he's not very good, not very accurate, I think that you have a pretty good situation to where Trevor Lawrence might end up being the problem in Jacksonville and not the solution. Plus, Jacksonville is a pretty lacking team. Their best receiver was the 2 from Buffalo, Gabe Davis, and I don't even know if they have him anymore. If they do, he's obviously not doing what they need him to do out there. It could be a Trevor Lawrence problem too, though. There is a big chance of that. So, there's nothing in the media about the Jaguars other than negativity. There's nothing good. There's no upside. There's no hope. I mean, even in this draft, they're like, well, they're drafting 5, so, really, what are they going to get? Probably get a D tackle, maybe an offensive tackle. They're probably going to take something to just, hope that, at least in the first round, will set them up for a long time to come. But let's go to their record prediction now. I think I forgot to do this for the Titans, but let's go back and do that for the Titans really quick. I think the Titans are not going to finish last this year. I think they're going to go 6-11, and I think the Jags are going to finish last with 4-13. I think they're just not a good enough team. I don't think Trevor Lawrence is him. Unless Trevor Lawrence literally revitalizes his own career out of his own right hand, I just don't see it happening, guys. I really don't. But let's move on to the Colts. Like I said, Titans 6-11 this year, Jags 4-13. We'll go back and we'll review these. That's kind of why I'm doing these record predictions, so that way at the end of next year, or even the midway point, we can go back and see, make like a recap of the recap kind of thing. Just kind of keep this going. But for the Colts, Anthony Richardson is on the way out. I think that's pretty plain to see. Signing Daniel Jones, who consensus through the media last year before he was pulled and stopped playing from the starting spot, was the worst quarterback in the NFL. But maybe the worst starting quarterback, multi-year starting quarterback that anybody has ever seen in the NFL. Daniel Jones was legitimately terrible. So the fact that the Colts are like, hey, Daniel Jones, you come and compete for the starting job. To me, that was like, they really think Anthony Richardson is bad if they think Daniel Jones can come in and beat him. And I think that, Anthony Richardson, after the head tap, there's no way you can recover inside the organization, inside the locker room from that. I know that they use that as a teaching moment, but you got to think of these guys who are way tougher, have never tapped out, throw up on the field before they walk out, pass out on the field before they walk out. I don't think there's a way where you can have Anthony Richardson start and have the NFL look at you as an organization and be serious. Because it's like, he's bad. Everybody knows that he's bad. He can't throw. When he runs, he doesn't run very well. Plus, and then when he runs, he gets injured. So it's really hard to be like, okay, well, Anthony Richardson is the guy for us when we're bringing in the worst quarterback to try and push him out. I think they have one hope. I think the Colts have one hope, and I think that whoever the quarterback ends up being, they need to learn how to hand the ball off about 50% of the time, 60% of the time, right behind them to Jonathan Taylor. If they bolster up their O-line and they can really get some strength, get some good play calls and play designs, I think he has a chance to run over everybody. I think Jonathan Taylor is one of those classic cases of stuck in the mud, stuck between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing you can do when you're top level running back talent, top level, and you're basically just pushed out because your own team doesn't want to give you the money you deserve. They're trying to cater to this quarterback that just is genuinely not good. They need to change the dynamic on this team to be more towards Jonathan Taylor, because Anthony Richardson is not going to be the one to get it done. I think he's proved that now for 2 years straight. He's not capable. He does not think he's capable in himself. He literally tapped out. I mean, it's really hard. I think because of Jonathan Taylor, I think because they have a team that's going into this year that still has some pieces that are motivated, I think they can go 6-11. But think about the Giants. If the Giants had Daniel Jones starting for them, and they have, what people say is a pretty good defensive line, pretty good defensive rush. They had talent with Neighbors. They had talent with Saquon. I don't see them winning even 9 games with Daniel Jones, regardless of anything. And then you have Anthony Richardson now going into his 3rd year. I think it's pretty clear to see that he's not going to be winning a lot of games either. So I heard a theory that they might tank, and that's why they're doing this, that they're tanking to get Arch Manning, who's like a consensus number 1 overall already next year before he even starts here at Texas this coming up season. So yeah, 6-11. I just don't see them winning games unless they really, really, really turn something around. I mean, come on, it's the Colts. The Colts literally were like, their entire franchise has just been embroiled with controversy and bullshit. I mean, I think that's half the reason they lost Andrew Luck is because they left Baltimore. I know, you don't really think about the Colts as the Baltimore Colts anymore, but you literally pack up in the middle of the night, drive your trucks down to a different state and city, set up shop, and start playing games. Like, that's just weirdo behavior. Like, literally, like you were afraid to break up with your girlfriend, so you just move away. Like, that's legit weirdo behavior. And then you have Peyton Manning, who is probably one of the best quarterbacks ever to play, top 10 for sure, no doubt in that. But then he gets hurt, and instead of bringing him back, you let him go for Andrew Luck, and then he goes and wins the Super Bowl, and Andrew Luck is done for. He's out of here. Okay, so you're searching for quarterbacks, and Minshew, you're looking through everything you got, Joe Flacco, every option you have. Now you're on to Daniel Jones. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. I think the Colts need to change as an organization, and I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. I really don't. But let's move on to the Texans. We still have to go through 2 more full divisions in this episode today, guys, so it's a lot of rambling, a lot of talking. C.J. Stroud cemented himself as the king of the AFC South. I don't think there's any doubt about it that he's going to be winning the division for as long as he's healthy and playing at least the majority of the games. If he can go and win his team 9 games every year, if he's just on the field 9 games a year, I feel like he could win his team all 9 of them, and he can win this division. This division is probably, it's the equivalent to the NFC South. I don't know why they mirror each other so well in like the lack of talent or team composure, coaching ability, but it seems like these teams are kind of like almost like the filler teams in the league, and there's just not very much there. unless Cam Ward really turns it around for the Titans, I don't see anywhere where the Colts or the Jags, with Trevor Lawrence being this deep into his career, have a chance. I think confidence is key for C.J. Stroud because he's going to be the number one guy for so long. He might start going into these playoff games with a lot more confidence and start winning these games against teams that people in the media might actually think that there's no chance, but it really comes down to when you're the leader. The confidence is the biggest motivator, and it's also the biggest thing that can hold you back too. But regardless, CJ Stroud just needs a better O-line. He definitely just needs a new O-line. I mean, it was so weak last year. Performing against the Chiefs just looked horrible. How can you actually compete against the multi-time Super Bowl champion when the second the ball is snapped, you have 2 or 3 guys already behind your line of scrimmage? I just feel like that's pretty sad. Also goes into the next point, the team needs now. So you have a good young coach. You have a good young quarterback. You just need to have more players. You need to have O-line pieces. You need to have a better team collaboration. They did get rid of an O-line. I think it was their left tackle, which is the most important piece for the O-line not too long ago. So hopefully they're trying to get some cohesion, trying to get some chemistry, trying to get rid of any toxicity, trying to make the team as good as possible. Because, I don't think that many organizations in the NFL want to just, lose in the playoffs every year or be the Thursday game where literally nobody watches, and then you're in the playoffs for, extra pennies instead of extra millions, essentially. But that's the AFC South. Let's move into the East. All right, NFC East review. We're going to start with the bottom of the division like always. We have the Giants first. Okay, this is the Super Bowl winning division, so at the end we probably have a little more to talk about than at the beginning. But with the Giants, you have Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. I think it's an underwhelming duo for some underwhelming coaches. As much praise as Brian Daboll gets for taking Daniel Jones to that playoff game, you just have to think about all the other pieces. Saquon was there especially. If you give Saquon the ball enough, he'll get you enough touchdowns to get you to the playoffs and win a playoff game. I hate this kind of notion that he got him to a playoff game. Well, not necessarily. He was just the coach while the team made it to that playoff game and won. Kind of you think about the 85-86 Bears that won the Super Bowl, you don't think about the quarterback because he didn't necessarily win them that Super Bowl. It was the defense and the whole season. So I just think this is a bad duo. Unless they pick Shador and kind of make Jameis a 3, or make Shador the 3 and make him sit and watch these guys, Neighbors will be locked. Literally just on the character screen in the video game, locked. He's going to be locked until there's talent behind center. Malik Neighbors is one of the most sensational wide receivers we've seen as a rookie since Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And he's probably on the most irrelevant popular team there is. I mean, the New York Giants is literal staple in football, and they're not only irrelevant, but now they're pretty unpopular as well. Not very many people like them. They think the organization as a whole is just pretty bad. So, with the coaches on the hot seat, I think it'd be smart to draft Shador, mainly for 2 reasons. Because let's say you go out and you take a risk with Shador Sanders, and let's say he only wins you 5 games or 6 games. Okay, well, at least, there's a chance that he gets better. Maybe I'll keep you guys around 1 more year. Or, you had this talent, you only won 6 games, you're out. You're gone. Well, it's at least I took a chance. But you know what Jameis Winston is going to do. You know what Russell Wilson is going to do. I think that it's pretty clear cut what kind of season you can expect from those 2 guys. I think Russell Wilson is much more of the losing quarterback at the end of the year with the Steelers than the winning quarterback after he took his spot back from Justin Fields. Let's say the coaches get fired and you draft Shador. The owners could very well reach out to Deion Sanders and say, hey, we need a coach. Nobody coaches this kid better than you. We know that. We've seen it. Nobody knows how to build a team or a cohesive unit better than you. We've seen that. So, let's bring you in. I think there's a chance for that. I think, Dion took the call from Jerry Jones and realized now's not the time. Why is now not the time? He doesn't know what school his kids are going to go to. It's kind of the same thing as in, okay, would it be horrible if Shedeur fell to, let's see, what would it be? Fell down into the first round and the Giants trade back up after getting Travis Hunter at 3 to get Shedeur Sanders at like 28 or something crazy. Like, who says that that's not a possibility? And then they really have Dion come and coach the New York Giants for 10 years, and they're the best team we've ever seen. There's really just, you don't know what these guys are thinking in the long term, how long term these guys even think. Like you talk to these guys and they talk very week to week, but at the same time, like they're moving contracts and moving cap dollars for stuff that's happening in 2 or 3 years. So it's hard to really keep like an honest perspective on the way these guys think, because I think their time frames are just so mumbled and jumbled. My honest record prediction, guys, for the Giants, if they don't get Shedeur, because that could change a lot of things for a lot of these teams. Like I said, with the Saints yesterday, 4-13. I think they're gonna be pretty close to the number 1 pick again, but they might get 2 or 3 again, and I think that they might shoot themselves in the foot, depending on what they do this year in the draft. If they take Travis Hunter, great. Who's throwing him the ball, right? That's a common thing. But you also have to think if he's primarily like a cornerback, or that's where his skill is really elevated compared to other people, then it's like, okay, he's probably picking off Dak Prescott, Jane Daniels, and Jalen Hurts. So, like, are you really upset if you take him at 3 and you don't have a quarterback for a year? Because you might be setting up your defense to be top tier elite. But for now, I think it's going to be 4-13. Let's move right into the Cowboys. Coaching changes, winning changes. Okay, I mean, you go from a Super Bowl winning coach who won you 12 games in a row, 3 years in a row, or not 12 games in a row, but 12 games, 3 years in a row, and then basically wills your team to a 3rd place in the division with Cooper Rush. So losing McCarthy, I think, is going to be a bigger hit than they realize, moving over to this other guy, Schottenheimer. I know that they have a lot of history in the NFL, family and stuff like that. But, when Jerry Jones is making that choice because he wants to save money at the coaching position rather than, making it because that's the best coaching hire, that's where the problems come in. I understand wanting to save money and going out and getting a good coach that's just as good, but when you're getting a guy that's, been an assistant or a minor piece inside of this structure that the other guy built that you let go, I think it changes a lot. Plus the team is going to change how it operates, and what if the plays don't meet the way that the players need them? What if, they're trying to have a certain player break left all the time, but he breaks better to the right? Or what if they have somebody going up for a lot of jump balls and he's better at catching them in stride? It's small things like that. It's making your players feel comfortable, making your players excel where they're already better. That's, excel in the things that got them there. So I just don't know really if the Schottenheimer guy is going to be able to do all that from the roles he's done them in before. I would say this next part is probably the Cowboys' biggest red flag / wild card. What are they going to do with Micah Parsons? Because he's up for a contract too. This will be the 3rd mega contract that the Cowboys will have to sign just within the last 2 years. So, they're signing all these mega contracts, eating up their cap. They'll have 40% of their cap going to 3 guys. Can you really manage to build a full roster of 53 guys when 3 of those guys are taking up 40% of your cap? I think it's unrealistic, and I think that's why the deal hasn't gotten done. I think that with the rumors of the Cowboys not really liking the way he's always online, he's got his podcast kind of unfiltered, doing his own thing, they don't like that, especially since the Cowboys are an old-timey organization with Jerry Jones running it. There's conflict already within the team, like you saw with DeMarcus Lawrence as he went over to Seattle. So who knows? They might end up trading him away to get players or maybe get draft capital. Maybe they'll trade him during the draft to move around in the draft, or maybe get an extra first-round pick. I feel like a lot of the teams that were calling for Myles Garrett would love to take Micah Parsons just as well, right? I'd say that they're thought of in the same category as like just unbelievable, right? But I don't think changing coaches, and even let's say you retain Micah Parsons, there's too many problems on the Cowboys. Too shallow on offense. Mainly focusing on aerial defense, not run defense. And now this division is like even better with running. So I think that the Cowboys are going to finish 8-9. I think it's going to be a harsh awakening for Jerry Jones. The decision he makes are not the right ones all the time. And I think it's going to take a lot for him to actually point the finger at himself. And after they lose 4, 5, 6 in a row this year, it's, there's probably going to be a lot of problems with the Cowboys. Maybe guys asking for trades. There's a lot that can go down. All right, let's go to the shocking team, the Commanders. Guys, Jane Daniels is the truth. Going from Arizona State to LSU, winning the Heisman, almost winning it in back-to-back years if Caleb Williams wasn't there. You got to say that this guy coming in probably had the best potential, right? I mean, Caleb Williams had the best raw talent, but I would say the best potential as a quarterback was Jane Daniels. That's why he went right after. And he's proved it all. Led the team to the NFC Championship as a rookie. Set so many records as a rookie, playoff records as a rookie, fourth quarter stats as a rookie. There's so many things he did that looked like he was a vet. Playing in college all those years really did help him. And I think, the way that his team, or the organization, the Commanders having a new owner, a new GM, the new head coach was Dan Quinn on his second attempt, and now Jane Daniels as, a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder, being a guy that, they thought maybe couldn't prove himself when he moved schools, maybe wasn't worthy of the number 2 pick. I heard some people say that, even as, that's just weird and crazy to think the Heisman winners wouldn't go 1-2 together. They have everything in place to build the franchise up together for at least the next 10 years while he's healthy and playing at a peak level. He's a youngish guy, so I mean, in 10 years he'll probably be 35, and I think that'll be the time where they might look to draft somebody new, do something different. But their roster building, because everything is new, is way better than before. Bobby Wagner, that they got a couple years before this regime, just completely led the defense to be way better than they have been in years past. I think having a better defensive line to especially stop Saquon Barkley in division twice a year and Dak Prescott twice a year, and then you're getting deep into the playoffs like this, you need to have a good O-line, or else you really might not have a chance to progress yourself through to these later games again, even though you did it in your first year. You'd hate to have Jane Daniels have a sophomore slump, only because he's so talented. You'd hate to see him go down, but I mean, just the potential for him to get better is like, what else could this guy do? He already went to the NFC Championship. He's going to go to the Super Bowl, and then he's going to win it in year 3. And then how do you get better than that? You're an all-pro. Is he going to have a Patrick Mahomes type career? Because this is exactly what, if it happens, I mean, he's done things that almost no other quarterbacks have done. And Terry McLaurin, deeper into his career now, super splashy season, really balled out, showed everybody who he is. And now that he's like really cemented himself as a top receiver, especially in the NFC East, 100%. He's probably one or two. Anyway, guys, sorry for the interruption. Let's just move on to the record predictions. I obviously don't have much time to do this stuff, so let's just move on to the record predictions. 11-6. I see the Commanders doing really well. I mean, every year that they're going to have this team, at least this core, Organizationally, top down, they probably have the best chance they've had as a team since the 90s to really be a Super Bowl contender. And last but not least, the Eagles, Super Bowl champions from Philadelphia. They had the strongest O-line and D-line that we've seen on a singular team in years. The last Super Bowl, the year before that they played against the Chiefs and lost, they upped the average weight of the offensive line by like 100 pounds per player. So just the weight behind these, the physical weight, and plus like the muscle strength behind these guys, to push with Jalen Hurts and Saquon to just literally move these guys around the field. Is why Saquon and Jalen Hurts are such a good power duo. As strong as they are together, as strong physically as they are, plus as strong as they are in the field with their play and their leadership and everything like that, everything about this team comes from the lines and how well that they work. The Eagles get the ball more, number one defense all year, and the offense makes the most of their time when they have the ball because they're able to run it, pass it, play action, everything. But, after you win the Super Bowl, you have to pay certain guys. They paid Saquon. They gave a couple guys more raises. Zach Bond made him, super rich. But now there's a lot of players you got to let go. A lot of smaller pieces, maybe second, third string guys, a lot of older pieces. Darius Slay, let him go. And there might be some decision-making questions. There might be some composure questions. You've been in the Super Bowl the last couple years with these guys, and these guys are the reason why you're winning. They've been through the thick, they've been through the thin, they've been through the highs and the lows, so they're able to keep it all together when those lights are the brightest. But these younger guys, maybe they're a talented person that came in off free agency that was cheap, or maybe they'll be rookies. You're not going to find a Cooper DeJean every year who can pick off balls in the Super Bowl. You're not going to find that. So they got to make sure that they're smart with who they do let go. A.J. Brown rumors ramping up that he's going to go to New England. I don't think they can lose that piece. Regardless if they throw the ball more to Devontae Smith or not, which they do, and I think he's really good. The reason they're able to even throw it that much is because A.J. Brown is on the other side of the field pulling two guys, making the safety come down. And letting Devontae catch these long balls. There's so many things that AJ does that when he doesn't have the ball in his hand, his strength, his viciousness, he'll literally grab the dude's face mask and start fighting, even if he doesn't get the ball thrown his way, because he's just that hyper competitive. So you can't let those kind of guys go. You have to keep the roster as complete as you can, right? And I'm sure they did with their D-line and O-line. Of course, keeping Saquon and Jalen Hurts. So their record prediction, I think it's going to be a really close race with the Commanders all year. I think they might win it with 2 games left to go, but I think they're going to be 12-5 this year. 1 game better than the Commanders with 11. I just don't see the Eagles faulting too much. They won 11 in a row the year they lost to Tampa Bay, which was 2 years ago. They could have easily went Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl in 4 out of 4 years, kind of like the Chiefs, and everybody would say, "Oh, it's rigged, it's rigged." I just think Philadelphia is really smart, and then they've got it handled from the top down. So let's work from the bottom up now. Okay? We're going over the last division, the AFC East. It's going to be a long episode today, guys. This is the longest one we've ever done on the channel, so be sure to leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're still here 42 minutes in on my recording. The Patriots, they're a new coach on the block. Okay? Vrabel. They're a new team. They're trying to build the Patriot way back. Accountability, hard work through hard work, determination, never taking no for an answer. And I think they're going to be defensive-minded again with Vrabel at the helm, the same way that they were with Belichick. Take a lot of those same fundamentals, secure the ball on defense. If the other team doesn't score, you don't have to score as much either, right? I mean, it's just common sense. But there's also the other side of the coin, the offensive side. Getting Stephon Diggs from Houston after his 1 year in some injury, there's a lot of question there with him. But Drake May, there's no question. If the Patriots are able to get Travis Hunter at number 4 it would be one of the biggest picks for this organization ever. New England is a notoriously bad drafting team the whole time that they had Bill Belichick, and I think if they were actually able to get Travis Hunter to pair with Stephon Diggs to really go against him in practice, for one, to get his cornerback skills as good as possible, but then also to play on offense on the other side of him I think he would have so many more opportunities. I also think that it would give Drake May the opportunity to flourish, especially having Diggs, and if they got Travis Hunter, just imagine the leaps and bounds that Drake May will take, having a good coach with Vrabel, and a good organization now with some money behind him, like New England, rather than Tennessee back in the day Vrabel had. But Stephon Diggs has a lot to prove too. Injury-prone allegations and stuff now. Also, being on all these different teams, not getting along with people. It's his chance to prove, hey, I'm okay. I'm a receiver. I'm a good guy. I'm just passionate. Whatever it is. But I don't think the Patriots are going to be super good to start. I think they're going to go 7-10. I don't think this division is super strong still. I think, as good as Vrabel is, you still have to play the Bills twice a year. You still have to play the Jets twice a year. You still have to play the Dolphins twice a year. If you're going down to Miami, in January, and it's about 40 degrees hotter than it would be in New England, it's a hard game to play. It's like you're dehydrated, you're sweating out, you can't breathe. There's a lot of things that can happen to where New England can win some easy games. I'm not going to lie. So I'm having them pegged for 7-10. I think there is a chance that Vrabel turns it around year 2 or maybe even year 1. But I just don't see them making it happen right away. I just don't want to put that, the one coach solves everything. I think they have to still build a roster that's been lacking for, I don't think it's ever been really a good roster. I think Bill kept it that way to make Tom Brady, push. And I think that's what kept Tom Brady so good all these years. But speaking of the Jets, let's move on to them. We have Justin Fields back on the field. One of my favorite quarterbacks, obviously because he was a Bears quarterback, but being an Ohio State fan-ish, having him be on a team again, being the starting quarterback, is really cool to see. And they got a lot of young people on their team. They have Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, they have Breece Hall, and now they have Justin Fields, who is still, I think his 6th year in the league. He's still only 26 or 27. But I think the Jets are a team that can actually come together after the Aaron Rodgers situation. Kind of how he controlled everything, controlled the limelight, controlled, everything. You got coaches fired. There's so much that happened because of Aaron Rodgers. I think there's going to be a team that's left that says, hey, we're going to show them what we could actually do now. Now that we don't have this guy holding us back, this old guy, this injured guy, bringing in his other teammates that he likes, pushing our guys that are better than them to the side. We're done. We're done with that. We're going to make this happen. I think part of that is going to be Aaron Glenn, game-changing coach, hardcore defensive coach, and I think he's going to help Sauce get better. He's going to build the strong culture that the Jets haven't had since Rex Ryan. Okay, I think this first year with Aaron Glenn, they're going to tie the Patriots. I think it's going to be down to a division tiebreaker to who finishes second in this division this year. 7-10. The Dolphins have so much drama going on with Tyreek Hill. I think Miami got to him. The party lifestyle, the heat, the fastness, everything about it. He's an angry guy. He's a short-sighted guy. He just wants to move teams and win. He just wants to move teams and make money and win. But the thing is that you have to be a part of the team, a part of a culture to go and win. You think about some of these players that have jumped around that are that are wide receivers. Think about A.J. Brown that went from the Titans to the Eagles. He's an Eagle now. He's not just A.J. Brown. He's an Eagle now. You think about Randy Moss. He was a Patriot when he was a Patriot. So Tyreek Hill, you got to be a Dolphin to win with the Dolphins, and Tua lost one of the best targets in the whole league with that. So because of that, because he just is going crazy, legit going crazy, domestic violence, speeding, all this crazy stuff. But the coach is on the hot seat now too. I think after having to release Jalen Ramsey because he wasn't coming to practice, didn't respect him, didn't want to pay him, whatever the thing is. I think that, he's kind of got some questions going on. Why couldn't they do as well as the Cowboys did with Cooper Rush, with their backup, when Tua was hurt? These questions start to arise. Pretty simple for the Dolphins. As much drama as they're going through and as much BS as they have going on behind the scenes, I think on the football field they're going to be a pretty bad team. I think Tua can do a lot with Waddle, but there's only so much you can do when you release Mostert. Probably the glue that held that backfield together, that allowed for the other guy to run so well. Can't even remember his name right now. I got so much in my head from this video. But 5-12 this year, guys. I think they're going to finish last behind probably the Jets. I just don't see them as a threat anymore. I thought they were really like an AFC threat, and after they lost in Kansas City in that super cold game, they just lost a lot of respect, I think, from a lot of people that watch the NFL. But last but not least, I think Josh Allen is going to go back-to-back. I think now that he's finally validated, he played differently last year than the rest of his career, and it worked out. Won a lot of games, got to the AFC Championship. The 1-yard rush, a lot of people said should have gone through in that Chiefs game. Would have won them the game, would have got them to the Super Bowl. But I think that's why this year he's going to take up another level and just do insane things. He's obviously the best individual player at the quarterback position in the league now. Maybe he's not the best quarterback fundamentally. Maybe he doesn't read the field as well as like a Mahomes, or throw it as far as other guys. But I mean, he's the best individual quarterback in the league. Plus, with Lamar fatigue like last year and Mahomes fatigue every year, there's a big chance that he wins this MVP, even if his season is a little less on the standards, because we don't know what the roster is going to look like. They really only had Amari Cooper last year to catch with. They lost Diggs and Davis over Josh Allen's career, so to add these type of guys, to add that type of talent, would really bring Josh Allen up another level too, because he's just so good. It's hard to resist the fact that he's only won his first MVP now and not a Super Bowl champion. It's almost like I would rather swap his career with Joe Burrow's career, considering Joe Burrow gets injured so much more often, and just that for that kind of reason, I think that Josh Allen should definitely played well enough to go to a Super Bowl. Definitely deserves played well enough to deserve this MVP earlier. But they definitely need to add more talent to this Bills team. There's just not enough there. James Cook is phenomenal, but I think they're going to win this division pretty easily again. 13 wins, 4 losses. Probably 6 of their wins are going to come from these other 3 teams, the Patriots, Jets, and Dolphins. And then the other ones are just going to go through the league and knock guys off slowly but surely. So that's my mega episode, guys. Going over 12 teams today, 3 divisions. Pretty hectic. It's a long one, so thanks for hanging out with me. Hope your food was good. If you had some food, whatever. It was a long video. Talk to you later.